And we're back, guys. I'm your host, Good Energy. Welcome to Tennis After Dark. And we are going to reflect on the matches today. We had some really good tennis today. And listen, guys, it's been my duty, my obligation to bring you guys the latest and greatest when it comes to the WTA and just making the world aware of what's next to come. We are seeing the WNBA take off finally, right? I've been supporting that for so many years. Actually, that was my goal was to own a stake in one of those teams, and you know, I don't know if the train has left the station on that, but we're still working on that. But I would love to just continue to bring WTA tennis to as many households as we can because these ladies are amazing, and I say it all the time. We've been watching the men dominate sports for so long. But the reality here is these ladies, there's a level of entertainment that a lot of people don't know exists. And it starts with the WTA, in my opinion. I think this is one of the best female organizations in terms of sports and athletics. Now, Coco Gauff, if you're not familiar with her, guys, she's by far the best defender in the game. It's not even close. It's not even a question, right? And Iga Swiatek is by far the best clay player in the game. Not even a question. Now, these two collide, you are going to have an electrifying match. The first set of this match was amazing. And listen, guys, if you're not familiar, these are the two most electrifying ladies on tour. When they get together, it doesn't matter what the head to head is. When these two ladies get together, it's must see TV. Why? Because we know Coco's that good. Coco's been dominating since juniors. A lot of people don't realize that, right? She's that good that the head to head could be 100 to 1, but we're going to tune into the next match to see what Coco's improved on, what she's been working on, and to see if this is going to be the changing of the tide. And the reality here is Coco Gauff, guys. She played a really solid first set. Now, if you're not familiar coming into this match, they played 21 sets. Iga won 19 of them. That's pretty dominant, right? Now, we go back to the French Open. I don't know why that says 24 Roland Garros. I guess are they trying to tell you when to watch? But look, they played what a few years ago at the couple years ago at the French Open final, where Corey Coco Gauff, a young teenager. She lost to Iga in the championship match, and they played last year where Coco lost to Iga as well. And I felt last year was probably the best, and this is the championship match that Coco lost. She was the runner up. Probably, probably last year, I think on clay was the most competitive match they had. And the reason why is I felt that Coco did a really good job of bringing Iga forward towards the net. Now, everyone in the tennis world was amazed at how well Coco played today. That's the consensus. Coco played solid in the first set right up until that ninth service game where she was up 40 love, much like the Sabalenka Australian Open, right? 6-5, 30 love, then it all falls down, right? Kanye West said it best. When it all falls down, what are you going to do? Now, we're seeing the improvements in her game, and I just want to take a look at the difference between Cincinnati and possibly what we saw today. This is my personal opinion. Everyone's entitled to theirs. Feel free to comment below. But again, this is my opinion. Now, when they played at Cincinnati, what's the difference in terms of Coco's team versus today? The difference is Coach Reba. Coach Reba, in my personal opinion, he brought a different element to Coco's game. Now, I think Coach Reba, he had the strength and conditioning element where just making sure Coco. Now, Coco's always in shape. Coco's probably one of the few players I've never seen get tired. I've seen Iga get tired, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in this video. So you want to stay tuned. Make sure you like the video, show some love, hit the super thanks, right? But I've never seen Iga get. Excuse me. I've never seen Coco get tired. And I think Coach Reba brought an element with his strength and conditioning background and his just Spanish type of style, right? The baselining, the deep balls. Here in Cincinnati, Coco really frustrated Iga with the deep ball. Now, hard is a much faster surface than clay. I feel that if you're going to exploit Iga's weaknesses, it's going to come on hard. So not only did we see Coco bring out the deep ball, which is what she struggled with opponents like Elena Rybakina, for example. Rybakina, I'm going to show you where Iga likes to really hit her winners and take the ball. We're going to take a look at that a little bit later in this video. But I do feel that Coach Reba, he brought several elements to Coco's camp that weren't there before. First of all, I like his energy, right? He was a constant cheerleader. Now, Brad is vocal, but a lot of times you look at Brad and he's got the fisherman hat, which I love those. I wear those all the time. He's got the fisherman hat, especially when I'm out fishing. He's got the fisherman hat, and sometimes you can't really see what he's thinking, but I will say Reba was a lot more vocal in terms of pumping Coco up in the match. And that's what a coach's job that's a coach's job, right? A coach needs to make sure his or her player is just mentally in the right spot, right? Even if they're losing or not playing well, the coach's job is to motivate the player. Now, yes, of course, you're going to say, hey, players supposed to be motivated, but a lot of times you have to understand you get down on yourself. It's human nature. And a coach's job is to reinforce their skills, their abilities, and what they're capable of doing, especially when you're an elite athlete. Coach has to reinforce that and assure their player, look, it's okay. Look, stick to the game plan. It's okay, right? And a lot of time that goes a long way, especially when you have crowds and you're playing on the road. People aren't necessarily cheering for you. They're cheering for your opponent. Maybe they want to see you do bad or fail. So I thought Rebus brought a lot of elements. The baselining element, extending Iga behind the baseline, making her uncomfortable, putting her on the defensive where she can't beat you with those amazing forehands and quick winners, right? I felt that he brought the cheerleading element. The cheerleading element, just keeping Coco pumped up when she got down, right? Especially that U.S. Open run. Very, very important. And it also felt just his strength and conditioning background, just had Coco just playing on another level, right? Now, Coco won that match in Cincinnati. That's the only time she's beat Iga. And I felt Reba was a big part of that, right? Now, Reba had recently joined her camp, I'd say probably a few months ago, right? And the first time they play Iga, what happens? She beats Iga. Now he would depart with Coco shortly after the U.S. Open. They would meet again on the China leg of the tour in Cancun. Coco would lose both of those matches. Now Brad was at the helm. What's the difference between that match in Cincinnati and the matches in China, Cancun, and today? The serve. Now, once Brad got full control of the Ferrari, the serve, the serve, the serve. We've seen the double faults increase like crazy. Now, the game plan there with the serve, in case you're not aware, and Coco looking frustrated here today in the second set, is the game plan with the serve is to go big, strong, and powerful. Now, Coco said it's a work in progress. It's going to take time, but eventually the the objective is to just blast opponents off of the court, put less pressure on her in terms of returning and going deep rallies. And of course, we all know the serve, it's your most powerful shot, right? You can put your opponent on the back foot immediately. That's Sabalenka's strength. Take away Sabalenka's serve, and she's going to be well below mediocre. It's her serve, right? Serve is very, very important. So Coco also mentioned that, and Brad as well. And I've mentioned this before. Once the season's in play, and this is why I recommend players. Look, if I coach any of these players on tour, I guarantee you I get my player up inside the top 20 right away because a lot of it's game plan, it's strategy, it's a mindset, and it's really understanding the opponent that you're playing. Tennis is the type of sport is you have to know your opponent and you have to know what you're capable of doing because you don't want to put yourself behind by trying to focus on things that just don't fit into your game, right? So, in terms of Brad Gilbert, Coco, they've mentioned the same things that I've said. And this is why I recommend players shut it down. Once that last big tournament happens, if you're not going to the WTA finals in October, late September, shut it down. Get ready for the new year. Rest. Take a couple weeks to vacation, rest, get back to working, right? Is because they said exactly what I said. It's very tough to improve elements of your game during the regular season. It's very, very tough because you have a rigorous schedule, you have press obligations, and Coco's the most popular player on tour. She's shooting commercials, she's doing so many things off the court. It's very tough to really add new elements to your game during the course of the season. I said this all the time, right? Which is why we take a look at Iga Swiatek ending that 21 season. She came back a completely different player. She was really outclassed at the WTA finals in Mexico. And a lot of people are still wondering what happened. It's like she came out a different woman, right? Iga Swiatek came back stronger. Her serve was awful. And that's what really hurt Iga. Her Iga was not, her serve was bad, and she was not overpowering opponents like that. She came back with the serve placement and then just I'm telling you guys, it got really weird. She came back and she just ran on a tear. Now, we all know that's around the time she was in Ashley Barty's shadows. And we talk about Barty and how Barty, Iga's never won a set off of Barty. One of these subscribers earlier mentioned that. And yeah, I talked about that a lot, right? One of Iga's goals, Osaka was first, but one of her goals was to beat Ashley Barty. She felt that Ashley Barty made her a better player. Now, the joke that I've said for many years, and no disrespect to Ans, but I've always said that Ans was a poor woman's Ashley Barty. Because I feel that when Ashley Barty played, and we're not talking about the Serena era, once Serena was done, because we all know that Ashley Barty never beat Serena. Serena owned Ashley Barty. But the reality here is Ashley Barty, I felt, was the best shot maker on tour. And I said Ons was a poor woman's version of Ashley Barty because I felt she was the number two best shot maker in the world behind Ashley Barty. Here's the thing with Barty. Now Barty's short, right? I want to say she's 5'6" if I remember. 5'6", something like that. Barty's short, but her serve was powerful. Now, I compared Ashley Barty to those Golden State Warrior teams, those Michael Jordan teams. Why? Because Ashley Barty would occasionally lose a set, and she was so nonchalant, she'd always come back and win. That's that's the blueprint of someone that's confident in their abilities, right? You never saw her sweat or just let the pressure be too much. That's something that I want to see Coco work on because I felt Reba helped her with that. And that's why I said, look, Reba leaving her camp is not a good thing. Reba, I felt, was a really, really good coach for Coco. But nonetheless, Ashley Barty, guys, even though she was very short, and this is what's mind boggling to me, Ashley Barty was very short. But her serve was lights out, guys. Her placement, her speed. She had, she'll go out wide, jam the body down the tee. Her serve placement was amazing. I felt Ashley Barty had an amazing serve. And anytime she was down, much like Rebecca, anytime Ashley Barty was down, she would go to her serve. I was very sad when she retired, but the thing that was amazing is for someone so short, for her to be able to consistently get the ball over the net and hit aces, that you don't see. That's very rare. And again, her drop shots, her slices, her angles, the forehand, Ashley Barty was an amazing shot maker. I felt she was the best shot maker on tour. And again, I was really sad when she retired, but much like when Osaka walked away, you can't, and Sloane Stevens as well, we talked about this in the past because they've all said it. When Sloane and Osaka was talking about Serena retiring, one of the key things they said was, you know, for her to play so long and win so many titles and be so dedicated, because it's tough, guys. Players play 3 to 5 years and they can't handle it. Just keeping your body in shape year after year, month after month, trying to find ways to get motivated. It's very tough. And, Sloan and Osaka would, not in these words exactly, but they would kind of hint that, Serena must really love the game, which kind of, lets you know that just by Sloane's nonchalant attitude sometimes that people talk about, and Osaka walking away from the game so many times, that they're talented, they're really 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 good, but maybe they don't necessarily have that love for the game. And you can kind of see it sometimes, right? Because Osaka, in my opinion, she's the best ball striker. Her form, her technique, it's textbook. You don't see players, she's got that. Who's a good Steph Curry? She's got that Steph Curry form when it comes to, routine forehands and backhands. She's coached well, but much like her father said, Osaka, you're a tennis player. That's your job. You have to get back to playing tennis. Just play tennis. And I feel Osaka's on the right track, so that's good. And Sloane as well. But again, I felt Ashley Barty was just so amazing. But again, I felt she didn't really have the love for it because, again, she would drop the first set, come back and win the match. Consistently, she was dropping sets to players she should have blown out the water. And if you look at Ashley Barty's eyes, it's just something told me something wasn't right. And I knew she would walk away because it's just look at her eyes. Go watch those matches and look at Ashley Barty's eyes. I think just look. I'm gonna say you'll figure it out. Look at her eyes and you'll figure it out. And Iga said Ashley Barty motivated her to be a better player. And I feel if you want to be good at something or great at something, you have to play the best and you have to want to strive to be better than the best. But you have to study them, right? If you want to be the best player at a sport, study the best players and take away what you can take away from them to make your game better. That's what Kobe did with Michael Jordan. And with this matchup here with Coco Gauff, she's got to study what Iga's doing. Now, I feel with Brad Gilbert, I think the game plan really is, and one of the subscribers said something really good. He said, if Brad Gilbert can't put together a game plan with all this talent that Coco has to beat Iga, then maybe Brad's not the right coach for her. And that's something that I've been thinking about because the double faults. Now, listen, guys, here's the thing. I'm an athlete, and I can tell you, I'm going to take a page out of Iga Swiatek's book. And of course, she's exaggerating a bit. But Iga Swiatek said when she introduced her new serve to the world to start the season, she was asked, how long does it take you to incorporate a new element to your game? Iga says, oh, just only a few days. And, I feel comfortable with it. Just a few days, nothing more. Okay, she's being a little bit nonchalant, right? A little bit ridiculous. But here's the thing. If I add a new element to my game, so for example, I could be watching film, I can see an amazing play, and I add a new element to my game. Three days is probably about right before I feel comfortable just using it overall. But will I master it in 3 days? I'm probably not going to master it in 3 days, but will I be able to incorporate it into a live game? That could be a bit risky. If I'm winning, if I'm up, I would probably try to work on it in a game, which is why you see some of these players where, they're up big and then next thing you know, they're down or the match is tied. What happened? A lot of times they take that time to work on a new piece of their game. That's what's really going on there. But yeah, a few days, yeah, I can add something new to my game. And look at Tomas there. This was the most vocal I've ever seen him, by the way. And, a lot of the experts agree that's been the talk. This was the most vocal And look, Coco's a big name. She's big, guys. In the Eastern world, she's big worldwide. You see all the kids that bob her. But in the Western world, Coco is very big, guys. She's really the only player that anyone knows over here, and that's not no disrespect to any of the other ladies, but Coco's the name that everyone knows, as well as Osaka. That's what everyone knows here in the Western world. And again, that's no knock to all the players, but Iga Swiatek said it herself. Iga said outside of Poland, she walks around, no one really notices her. Iga said that, not me. And look, Thomas was pumped up for this match. This is the most coaching I've ever seen him done. But again, back to adding elements to your game is because the point that I'm trying to make is Coco's been working on this new serve for a long time, right, guys? Once Reba left, she's been working on it. I mean, let's just say clearly, I'd probably say when Reba's left, at least since October, when the tour is in China, she's been working on this new serve. We're now in May, right, headed to June. She can't get it. She can't get it down. I mean, I think and look, Sabalenka had these issues as well, and I keep bringing it up because I think this is what she needs to do if she's going to continue to stick with it. But look at this.
Gauff going after her forehand early. And that's the key for Gauff to get that shot.
Look at the forehand. All right, so that's the forehand there. And this is what I'm going to transition to. The serve, she's making too many double faults. And we're going on what? I want to say 7 months now. We'll say 7 months, 6, 7 months now of working on this new serve. Too many double faults. She can't get it down. And someone said, look, if Brad Gilbert can't put together a game plan with all this talent that Coco has to beat Iga, he might not be the coach for her. And it's been 7 months. She can't get this serve down, guys. And the reason I played that video is that's a page from Elena Ostapenko's book. We know what Iga struggles against, right? If you look at the game plan, you look at the footage out there, she struggles against the deep ball. She struggles against those that take it early. She struggles against those that bring her forward against the net. And she struggles against those with the powerful serve. But the serve, Coco's serve was always powerful, but she wasn't double faulting like this. She bulked up to start the season, and now she's trying to go really big with the serve because that's Brad Gilbert's thing. That's his thing. I feel we might be taking away from the other things that could beat Iga by focusing just on the serve. We clearly see that the topic of discussion is the serve, while ignoring the improvements of the forehand, which is a weapon. Iga's average speed serve 75 miles per hour. Coco's now 75 miles per hour. So she's added more power to the forehand. I'm sorry, the forehand. Coco's added more power to the forehand, and she's hitting it deeper, right? The fact that she's double faulting a lot, I feel is taking away from some of her confidence of the things that's improving that she could be utilizing more consistently to beat Iga. We might have to change that whole serve thing and just tone it down a bit, because she doesn't have anything to worry about once the ball's in play. Her defense is so good. She's going to win most of these rallies. Let's take Iga out the equation for a minute. There's no one on tour that's going to beat Coco consistently in these rallies. There's no one. There's no one you can name on tour that's going to beat Coco consistently in these rallies. Take away the extreme miles per hour on the serve. Let's take a little bit of steam off of it. Let's get the ball in play. Let's stop trying to blast opponents off of the court with the first shot. Who's going to beat Coco consistently in rallies? Iga's out the equation. No one. So what's happening is she's double faulting. She's getting behind in the rallies a lot. And I feel we might have to take a look at that. It's not working, right? If nothing changes, nothing changes. We see this serve that Bradley Gilbert's trying to incorporate. It's not working. It's not working, guys. It's been 7, 8 months. That's too long. That's too long to be working on a move or a shot, a technique. It's too long. That's way too long, guys. It's too long. Now, Coco hasn't played as many tournaments as other players. She's had breaks. She's had plenty of time to work. And yes, it's tough to do it between seasons being so popular as she is, but she's had time to work on it. And Brad Gilbert said himself, Coco is working hard. If you think she's doing other things, she's not. She's in the gym, she's on the court, working hard every day. And I believe it, but that serve's not working. We either need a mechanics coach right away or we need to scrap it. Okay, that's how I feel because the serve is putting her behind. She was up 4-4, 40 love on serve, and the serve put her in a jam that she never recovered from mentally. She never recovered from that service game. She got broken because right into the second set, you could see it on her face. And Coco wears it on her face, so that's another thing we have to work on as well. It's okay, Coco. You make a double fault, you get broken. It's okay, get the break back, but in terms of the facial expressions, it's more of a letdown where she's sad and she's still young. You could see that she's only 20, right? You can see she's still young. And this is where, fathers coaching their daughters, this is another element that Iga probably has in terms of an advantage because Iga has Thomas who's militant. If he's look, we're not tourists. We're here to win championships. You need to work, right? So that's another element that Iga's. She's older, but that's another mental element she's ahead of Coco at because Coco, imagine coaching if you're a father or mother, you're coaching your child. You're not going to be as hard on them, right? Now, and this is the difference between Richard Williams coaching Venus and Serena. He was hard on them. He had that balance where he was hard on them, and I can tell Coco's dad. I can just tell that's his sweetheart. Coco's classy, beautiful young lady. I could tell that he wasn't as hard on her because I mean it's your child. So I just feel mentally there's an element there when she starts to get behind, which again, that's twofold because she's been so great her whole entire career that now she has to deal with the adversity. It makes her sad. She starts to pout a little bit. But the reality here is when your dad's coaching you as well, you may not push your daughter to that extreme level because one, you don't want to see her get injured or hurt. That's always in the back of your mind. You don't want her to hurt herself, physically, right? And mentally. So I feel that's what separated Venus and Serena from the rest with Richard coaching them because Richard was hard on them. Go watch King Richard and watch them coming up. Richard was hard. He didn't play. He was very disciplined, but he had a good way of reinforcing it to get the message through to where they were receptive, especially Serena, because Venus was the star of that family. And I tell you guys all the time, Venus was the one out the gate. Venus was big, but you always saw Serena in the shadow, and it was like, you know what? She's going to be the one. And Richard always said that, even in the movie. He's like, yeah, Venus is good, but Serena's going to be the one. And you could see that because again, when you have siblings, and especially when you're the younger one, you're normally going to be a lot better because you're getting beat up by your older brothers and sisters and you're learning all the lessons and you're just absorbing like a sponge all the things you need to be better. And again, I feel that's another element that Iga has in this matchup that's giving her an advantage is she's not coached by a family member and she doesn't have her family in her camp all the time, right? So it's more of a, you know, it's more of a business relationship where the coaches, I'm not saying that Brad, but having your parents and everyone around you all the time. Again, that's an element there that I feel that Coco is probably a little bit behind with someone like, you know, Iga Swiatek or Arena Sabalenka. Yes, they're older, But again, when you have your parents around you, there's the edge. And I talked about this during Coco's struggles last year. If you follow the channel, you understand this. We're going to revisit this for a minute. I felt Coco was going through growing pains. She's a teenager. There's probably things she wants to be doing in her personal life. There's a lot going on there, and you're traveling with your family every day. Sometimes, like, you just want to be a woman. You want to be an adult, and you want to, you know, you want to be an adult. It's just as simple as that. And I just feel that's another level where, there's a lot of hostility, sometimes some jealousy with other players on tour, where it's like everything's about Coco. Everyone wants to see Coco. Everyone's talking about Coco. And then you see Coco and, she's traveling with her family. And it's like there's an element there that I think a lot of players get jealous because it's that family vibe, and she's so popular, she's so young. But again, that's also something that I felt that has kind of hindered her. And she reached her boiling point last year where she was losing matches where she's just better than these players. She's losing them because she was frustrated, you know. But I felt she turned the corner when Rebus came on board, and Bradley Gilbert came on board right around Wimbledon, where she lost to Sophia Kenin, which that was a very, very tough match. And a lot of the experts, including myself, felt with that draw, if she got past Sophia Kenin, she probably would have went deep and won Wimbledon, which is why I think you need to watch out for Coco this year at Wimbledon because it's a faster surface. Iga does not do well on grass. Now, it's not like she's horrible at grass, right? She didn't win. She did win the junior slam with Kat McNally at Wimbledon. A lot of people don't know that, right? Iga is a junior Wimbledon champion, but the reality here is her game, she can't exploit players as much on a faster surface like grass. Iga prefers, even when it comes to hard, she prefers the slower hard courts, right? That's how she's able to really shine. But I do feel that the game plan with the serve, I think you have to really consider either bringing in a mechanics coach or going back to the old serve. But at this point, she's been doing this, or at least trying this new serve for 7 months. Can you go back to the old serve? Is that even possible? That's something to think about. But I want to also take a look at the future, right? Because Coco is only 20, and we saw today a lot of really good improvements. And even when they played in China, even when they played in Cancun, the matches, they're a lot closer than the score shows. They really are. But I want to talk about why Coco will eventually dominate the tour and why she will eventually win 2 to 3 slams a year for a stretch. For one, Sabalenka's in her mid 20s. She's 26. She's not going to be overpowering opponents like that at 27, 28. And this is why Iga, I think, probably in the next, I give her maybe, I don't think her reign, someone said she's going to have more slams than Serena. I don't think that's possible, guys. I don't think so. And the reason I'm going to tell you I don't think so, now, she's amazing, and this channel is about giving players their flowers while they're alive. But this is why I don't think Iga's going to have a career that's going to dominate like the next decade, like a long dominating career like Serena. And this is why I don't think Iga's going to pass Serena in slams, is because of her stamina, right? So Iga, if you guys are honest with yourself, she holds players up a lot. Okay, just be honest with yourself. If you're not trying to be honest, then just exit the video, hit delete, and just go somewhere else where someone can, make you feel good. Because here we have to tell the truth, guys. Iga stamina is not going to enable her to have this long dominating career over a decade where she passes Serena in slams. Iga holds players up a lot. And why? The style of play she has, it's tiring, guys. Your body has something called muscle memory. Any athlete knows this. If you're a sprinter and you're used to running, the 100 meter. If you consistently train for the 100 meter, it's not to say you can't run a marathon. You should be able to run a marathon. But your results when you're pushed for that marathon, they're not going to be comparable to what you're doing on the 100 meter because you muscle memory is going to kick in. Your body's going to get fatigued. It's going to say, hey, overload, overload, what are you doing? And that's what happens with Iga. She gets tired a lot. She holds opponents up a lot. She's a short rally player. The matches that Iga loses are matches that goes deep. They're deep and they're grueling. And the reality here is she holds players up because she's catching her breath. Be honest with yourself, guys. Be honest with yourself. That's what she's doing. She's catching her breath. And she does it a lot, right? And if you're constantly beating your opponent to the punch, hitting winners in 5 shots or less, when players start taking you deep into 15, 20 shot rallies and you start losing those points, now you're in a different territory. And we've seen the matches that Iga's lost. She's always said, look, my game plan ran out. I didn't have any answers. She says things like, I don't know. I didn't have an answer. Because once you push her and stretch her, and we've seen coaches say this in the past, look, you have, and I've been saying this because I watch tennis, I see how players beat her. When you take her deep in rallies, there's nothing she can do about it. But you can't do it inside the baseline. You have to mix it up. You have to extend her past the baseline to where she's playing defensively. If she's inside the baseline, it's very tough to return a lot of her shots, which is why she's able to score winners in 3 to 5 shots or force you into an error. When she's hitting a 75-mile-an-hour forehand inside the baseline, it's a short ball with a lot of velocity on it. You can't even return that defensively. You're either going to hit a winner like Elena Ostapenko, but a lot of her winners are coming on the service side of things. But the problem is, Iga Iga has this very comparable style to Elena Ostapenko. It's a much cleaner type of style. But the problem is she can't handle that ball consistently from Elena Ostapenko. It's a much more stronger, powerful ball, a lot more velocity. So that pressures her and puts her on the back foot. But Iga, when she gets 26, 27, 28, she's already holding players up because she's tired now. What do you think's going to happen, guys? So it's like you have to be a realist and you have to be real with yourself. She's not going to have this career that's going to span a decade where she's winning Roland Garros championships. It's not. She's has a great career now. She's a Hall of Famer already now. But I don't see her passing Serena because look, again, in 3 to 4 or 5 years, when she's 27 years old, approaching 30, she's not she's going to have to change her style. And then there's a lot less velocity on the ball. The footwork's not going to be there as she starts to slow down. And she's going to be beatable, right? Oh, she's beatable now, but she's going to be a lot more beatable. So I do feel she's going to have an amazing career. She's going to win more Grand Slams, and that's plural. She'll win more Grand Slams. She'll win more trophies. But I do see her slowing down, and that's when Coco's look. She holds players up all the time. And again, Brad Gilbert. One thing I do like about Brad Gilbert is he may not be as vocal during the match, but he supports Coco a lot after the match. So Paula Badosa, a lot of people felt, especially Brad, was that Paula Badosa with her ball toss. So she kept trying to throw Coco off balance. And if you've ever played a tennis match, you know, especially returning, you have to be on balance. You have to be ready. You have to be balanced. You have to be ready to return these shots because the ball's coming at you so fast. If you are off the slightest split second, you'll lose the point. And Brad Gilbert felt that Paula Badosa kept throwing, you know, these incorrect ball tosses, or if you will. So he felt Paula Badosa just kept throwing, you know, pump faking, if you will. He felt she kept pump faking on the serve and just trying to throw off Coco's balance, right? So she'll have a ball toss and another ball toss, another ball toss, another ball toss, and then finally serve. And Brad Gilbert felt she should have received some type of penalty or warning saying, hey, look, I mean, the serve clock has expired 10 seconds ago because you just threw up four more ball toss. Get the ball in play or warn her for something because it's like it's your first serve. You should be you should be a little bit more consistent with that, right? So Brad Gilbert, he defends Coco on everything. He is in the media a lot defending Coco on everything. And I think that's great. He was big with Pierre and several other stories. So I think that's great that he's defending her and she needs that. Um, but I do feel the serve, they have to do something with the serve. She's losing matches because of the serve. And that's to players like Iga. If you take a look at a lot of her other matches, she's serving bad and still winning. So you fix the serve, she's going to win a lot easier and a lot more dominant, right? Like we've seen her in the past. But again, I think Iga will slow down. Without a doubt, she's going to slow down. I think she plays a style that puts a lot of stress on her knees. I think she plays a style that puts a lot of stress on her lungs. I think she gets tired. She holds players up. And it works now because she's only 22, but this type of style is not going to work because she shows signs of fatigue now. You see players like Laura Sigmund, who's always trying to hold up the clock, in her opponent so she can catch her breath. Uh, I hate to say it, but that's going to be Iga in 5 to 6 years. So I don't see her having a career. You, if you're going to pass Serena, you need to be dominant for a decade. I don't see Coco doing that. I mean, I don't see Iga doing that. I can see Coco doing that because Coco doesn't get tired. So the style that Coco plays, which is already a grueling style where she's going 25, 20 shots deep in these rallies, it doesn't tire her out now. So that lets you know she'll have more longevity. And if she can fix the serve, she has a big racket where she can put up these huge, insane serve speeds. That's going to be another element that she can lean on to avoid those deep rallies. But Iga right now, she owns the head to head for a lot of reasons. I do feel that Coco's got to adjust the game plan. She's got to focus more on the situational options and what's relevant to her during that situation. You know, if you need to step in like Elena Ostapenko and hit that winner, she has to be able to do that. If you need to extend Iga behind the baseline like Elena Rybakina to back her up, she has to be able to do that. I think sometimes she's just more concerned with just getting balls back to where her opponent's out or make her opponent make mistakes to where she forgets that she has to be aggressive as well. It's got to be a fine balance to beat Iga. You need to do everything when it presents itself, and sometimes you still have to mix it up to keep Iga off guard. You can't be predictable with Iga, and sometimes Coco's just getting balls back to where again Iga's she plays chess. She has several different scenarios she's running through her head on when she's gonna hit that winner, and Coco's got to be a little bit more aggressive instead of just a counter puncher sometimes. But the stats I do want to look at again, her first serves in 54% too low. When you're playing Iga, you have to get at least 75% of your first serves in. But winning them is a different story. You got to be near 80% to beat Iga, right? 80-20 rule. You have to be near 80% to beat Iga. The winners, Iga can't have more winners than you, okay? And again, I know someone's sitting courtside counting them. Sometimes you're off, give or take a few plus or minus, but for the most part, Iga was more aggressive with the winners than Coco. Coco has to be aggressive with Iga. You can't be too defensive. It's got to be a fine balance. Sabalenka, I want to take a look at her, guys. Now, Sabalenka gets past Danielle Collins. She's going to take on Iga. I think Sabalenka's got a good chance to beat Iga, right? It's tough to beat someone two times in a row. I mean, the reality here is I think Sabalenka with her drop shot, I think that's going to present some problems for Iga. And I can see Sabalenka winning this match. But again, I think Sabalenka is going to win a set. That's going to be the pick. We're going to give that out early here. I like Sabalenka to win a set, just like I gave you the last time they played. The last time they played, that was even money. Actually, I think it was a little bit of an underdog. So I hope you guys won. Some people told me that they won off of that, so congratulations. We're gonna take Sabalenka to win a set again, but I think Sabalenka is gonna win this match, though. I think she beat Chica this time. But nonetheless, the big three talk. We'll go there again really quick, guys. I do think that personally, when we're talking about the big three, we have to consider the matchups between everyone involved, right? Coco owns a head-to-head against Sabalenka and Rybakina. She's a rank number 3. There's no reason she shouldn't be in the big three. She's the most electrifying player on tour. She's the most exciting player on tour. She's got the most hype surrounding her. She's the most popular. All that influences what we consider the big three. Because at the end of the day, it's about the fans tuning in to watch. If Coco plays any top player, the fans are watching because she's that good and she's that popular. Right? What do you think? Comment below. But those are the things I feel Coco's got to improve on to beat Iga. Right? That serve, the double faults, it's putting her behind too much. You have to come up with a solution before the French Open, before the Olympics, before Wimbledon. The serve isn't working. We have to do something differently. It's as simple as that. Bring in a mechanics coach, fix it. The double faults are ruining your chances to beat these elite players like Iga, right? Situational leadership. When do you need to extend it behind the baseline? When do you need to bring Iga forward for the drop shots? When do you need to step inside like Yelena and hit the forehand? Are we thinking these things, or are we just trying to just get balls back to wear Iga out? Yes, we know Iga's stamina. It's probably not the best because he's always holding players up. We see that, right? The rule book states the match speed is based on the server, not the returner, right? And if it's not that, then it's a combination of, mentally trying to frustrate your player, which we all know those things. It kind of says a lot about your character. But the reality here is, I do think it's going to be a good championship match. Congratulations to both of these ladies. They deserve it. Iga deserves it. Sabalenka deserves it. But I think Sabalenka is going to win a set, and I think she'll have a chance to win a match. Tennis in a minute. Tennis after dark. I'm Good Energy. Thanks for listening to the video. Again, if you love tennis as much as I do, like the video, show some love. Comment below. What do you think? What are your thoughts? How can Coco beat Iga? That's the question. We'll be back.